In more than a 30-year-old cold case in Baltimore County. John Norton is facing murder charges now in the stabbing death of his wife. This back in December of 1985. Karen Norton was just 23 years old when the crime happened at her home on Delray Avenue in Catonsville.
In 2021, a Maryland judge sentenced a man to 4 years in prison for stabbing his wife to death. He had already spent 2 years behind bars waiting for trial. Karen Ann Norton was 23 years old. She had dreams of becoming a nutritionist. She worked evenings at the local JCPenney. She had a mother she lived across the street from, sisters who loved her, and a husband she had known since high school. That husband killed her. Then he collected $117,000 in insurance money, moved in with her grieving mother, and rebuilt his life. He remarried twice. He is free right now. This is her story. Karen Benson grew up in Catonsville, Maryland. She was a cheerleader at Catonsville High. Bubbly, the kind of person people remembered. Her best friend Jane Harding remembers her falling head over heels for a boy in school, a quiet, handsome introvert named John Norton. They went to prom together, dated through college, married in 1982. They were like the prince and princess of our lives, her sister Bonnie would later remember. Karen worked evenings at JCPenney, inside Security Square Mall. She wanted to become a nutritionist, to help people. They bought a small house on Delray Avenue in Catonsville, right across the street from her mother. That was the last thing Karen Norton ever did. On December 17, 1985, Karen clocked out of JCPenney and made the drive home. She arrived at the house on Delray Avenue at around 6:45 in the evening. She put her key in the front door. John Norton told police he arrived home about 45 minutes later. He said he found her keys still in the lock, still hanging there. He walked inside, and that's when he claims he found her, Karen Ann Norton, his wife, stabbed, lying at the foot of the stairs. John called 911 at 7:30 that evening. The dispatcher walked him through CPR. By the time paramedics arrived, Karen was already gone. When officers reached the house, the scene told a story. Keys hanging in the front door lock, exactly where an ambushed woman would have left them. The dining room silverware scattered across the floor, drawers pulled out, items overturned. A house that looked like a burglar had torn through it in a panic. An unknown intruder, it seemed. Karen had come home and surprised someone mid-robbery, a tragedy, a random act of violence. That was John's story. And for the next 35 years, John Norton walked free. But not everyone believed the burglary story. From the beginning, detectives had doubts. The scene didn't sit right. A burglary where a house had been ransacked, but nothing of value was actually taken. An intruder who somehow knew exactly where to find a knife stored under a workbench in the basement. Police looked at John from day one. They never stopped looking at John. But looking isn't proving. Karen's sisters knew something was wrong too. Janet King, Karen's sister, remembered Karen confiding in her about marriage troubles in the weeks before her death. Bonnie Armentrout wanted to believe John was innocent. He had worshipped Karen. She had watched him do it for years, but then John took the $100,000 life insurance policy and cashed it. JCPenney paid out an additional $17,000, and instead of disappearing with it, John moved across the street into Karen's mother's house, told them he couldn't bear to stay in the home where his wife had died. He lived there for a year, grieving alongside the family of the woman he had killed. Then he drifted away. Construction jobs, a new city, a new life, eventually a new wife, then another. Karen's sisters watched it happen. They suspected him. They called the detectives. But suspicion without evidence is just suspicion, and the case had nothing that could survive a courtroom. So the file stayed open, and John Norton walked free. 35 years is a long time, long enough for a neighborhood to change, for a mother to die never knowing justice, for sisters to grow old carrying an answer they couldn't prove. Karen's sister, Janet King, kept a Baltimore County police poster on her wall, a $10,000 reward for information in her sister's murder. She kept it for 35 years. Think about that. Every morning, every day, a poster, a reminder that the man who killed her sister was out there somewhere, living, working, remarrying, raising a daughter. Bonnie Armentrout wrestled with it differently, back and forth. For decades, John had worshipped Karen. She had watched it. But then, the insurance money, the disappearing, the new wives. My brain eventually started taking over my heart, she would later say. The detectives kept the file open. New ones came in, reviewed it, moved on. John was never eliminated as a suspect, not in 1990, not in 2005, not ever, just a name in a file, attached to a crime no one could prove. Then 2017 arrived. John Norton got sick, hospitalized, and according to prosecutors, he started dropping hints about Karen, about what happened that night. His own family heard it, and his own family called the police. His name was Dominic Bridges, a detective with Baltimore County Police. He wasn't assigned to Karen's case. He pulled her 1985 file to study, to learn how veteran detectives built their old cases. It became an obsession. In 2017, John Norton was hospitalized. Prosecutors say he started dropping hints about Karen. His own family called the police. Bridges went to the hospital, sat down, asked John, 32 years later, if there was anything he wanted to say. John's answer, nothing has changed. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. Bridges left, but he didn't stop. He went back to the 1985 crime scene photos, and he started looking, not for what was there, but for what wasn't. No signs of forced entry, anywhere. The only thing missing, a single army knife, kept under a workbench in the basement. A burglar would have no reason to find it. Then the electronics. The cables had been carefully unscrewed from the back, not ripped out, unscrewed, deliberately. Then the coat. John's coat was hanging on a chair, inches away. A drawer had been pulled out, but the drawer was pulled after the coat was already there. No burglar hangs up someone's coat before ransacking a house. Then the witnesses. John's own siblings admitted something they had never mentioned. His truck was parked outside long before he claimed to arrive home. And at Karen's funeral, scratches on John's arms. Alone, none of it was enough. Together, it was a case. 3 years Bridges worked it. On May 1, 2019, a grand jury indicted John Joseph Norton for first-degree murder. That same evening, they arrested him, 35 years after Karen died, at the foot of her own stairs. John Joseph Norton was 57 years old when they came for him. He had spent 35 years building a life on top of what he did. Construction jobs, 2 more marriages, a daughter, a house in Sykesville, Maryland, 20 miles from the street where Karen died. 20 miles, that's how far he went. On the evening of May 1, 2019, detectives drove to that house and served him with a warrant. No cameras, no standoff, just a quiet arrest at a quiet house in a quiet town. He was taken to Baltimore County Detention Center, held without bail. For Karen's sisters, Bonnie, Janet, Frances, it was the moment they had spent decades believing would never come. Janet King, who had kept that reward poster on her wall for 35 years, finally had an answer. And for the first time since 1985, John Norton was not free. The family finally believed justice was coming. They were wrong. Then came COVID. Courts shut down. Trial dates pushed. Then pushed again. And while John waited, the case bled. Witnesses Bridges had spent 3 years tracking down. Some died. Some moved away. A case built on aging memories was now being asked to survive even longer. So they made a deal. First-degree murder, dropped. Life in prison, gone. Replaced with second-degree murder. A guilty plea. No trial. No jury. No moment where John Norton would have to explain the army knife, the unscrewed cables, the scratches at Karen's funeral. None of it happened. The sentence, 4 years. John's defense attorney, George Soros, said afterward, this case was 100% defensible. However, this was an offer that no defendant in their right mind would ever decline. John had already spent 2 years in pretrial detention. With good behavior credits, he walked free within months. He was 60 years old in that courtroom. Given a chance to say anything, he said nothing. Not one word. Janet King spoke instead. "I've had to deal with depression, anxiety, and anger, knowing that John was free and enjoying his life with the blood money." Vicky Niedergesaz: "For this type of crime, the punishment is unbelievable. I can't even wrap my head around it. He got 4 years? Bonnie Armentrout, 4 years? Come on, it's ridiculous. I'm very bitter." He didn't care about Karen's rights. He didn't care about the family. Prosecutor Garrett Glennon said plainly, "It is, just to speak frankly, a horrible situation that no one's happy with. I was certain Mr. Norton was guilty of and committed this very, very heinous murder." John Joseph Norton is free right now. Not in 2030, not someday, today. As you watch this, he killed his wife, collected $117,000, lived with her grieving mother for a year, rebuilt his life, remarried twice, raised a daughter, and when a detective finally showed up at his hospital bed 32 years later, his answer was, "Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed." We don't know why he killed Karen. The plea deal made sure of that. No trial, no testimony, no answer, just a guilty plea, 4 years, and silence. What we do know is this: Karen Benson was a cheerleader from Catonsville who fell head over heels for a boy at her high school. She married him. She worked evenings so they could build a life together. She bought a house across the street from her mother. She wanted to become a nutritionist, to help people. She was 23 years old, and the man who took all of that from her, who stood at her funeral with scratches on his arms, who cashed her insurance policy before she was cold, who looked her grieving mother in the eye every day for a year, he is free. The case is closed. Karen Ann Norton is not. If this case stayed with you, subscribe. There are more stories like Karen's. They deserve to be told.